My name is Amita Yaganagi, and I am here to share with you the story of the path that I stumbled upon. So this is a path I stumbled upon some 25 years ago, but I'm not telling you my age. And this path gave me perspective to my life, and it gave me perspective to where I would go and where I am today. Today, I am the head of a secondary school, as was shared earlier, and there are 345 students in our school. 170 of them are adolescent girls. So now, one of these girls is Mutinta, and I'd like to share the story of Mutinta with you. So Mutinta came into school in grade 10. She was about 14 or 15 years old. And she was a very quiet girl. She would come into the class, just sit down on her own, doing her own work, not really talking to her friends, her peers around her. And I hoped that by the second week of school, she would really have at least a few friends. That week, I saw her continue to sit on her own. She wasn't engaging with her peers. She wasn't engaging with her teachers. And her body language was something like this. She was always head down, sitting quietly, and I wondered, what could really make Mutinta come out of her shell? Unfortunately, that same weekend, one of the teachers came to me, and they brought Mutinta into the class, into my office, and said, "This has happened, you need to speak to her, Mrs. Yaganagi. There are some disciplinary issues." So Mutinta came in, I had a chat with her, and as she left my office, I saw her even more shrunken. She was like this before, and as she left the office, her body language was even smaller. And something in my heart moved. And I know that all of us, at some point, when we were adolescents, might have gone through this stage, or know some adolescent who is around us, who is quiet, shrunken, and we wonder, what can we do to help this young person? Luckily for Mutinta, just the following week, the school started a program called the Junior Youth Program. And being a part of the program, Mutinta had to sit with her peers, they had to talk about the issues that was facing them, who were their true friends, why were they friends, what does hard work mean, what does use of a gadget mean, what does peer pressure mean? And one integral part of their group study was a service project. So their group had to come up with a project that they would do. They decided to go to the nearby primary school and have tutorials for the students there. This was not a one-off event. They didn't just go once in a term or once in a year. Every week for the next year, they went into the nearby primary school and they had tutorials with the students there. Math lessons, English lessons, science lessons, and I wondered how this would affect Mutinta. As I passed by her classroom, I saw her suddenly working with her peers, making charts on math concepts, making charts on English grammar, on science concepts, and now she had a reason to pay attention in class, and she had a reason to talk to her peers. And when she went into the primary school, I could see Mutinta actually talking to the younger students there. And I could see Mutinta interacting with them. And as she told the younger students in the primary school that they had to finish their homework, that they had to follow school rules, Mutinta herself needed to follow school rules now. And she herself had to finish her homework. So this makes me wonder. We see a lot of adolescents around the world today who have mental health issues. So as the statistics show, 1 in 7 young people between the age of 10 to 19 have some kind of mental health issues. And that's about 166 million young people around the world today. And I think this is not a number that we can just pass by and overlook. This is something all of us deal with. This is something that affects adolescents that are around us. And then, when I look at statistics of students who have access to higher education, then I see that access to education as well is increasing. So if access to education is increasing and more students are able to go to school today than any other time in history, and at the same time mental health issues as well are going up, I'm wondering, is not the purpose of education really to guide our young people, to give them a sense of direction, to give them confidence, to give them the ability to actually contribute to their communities? So what is missing in the education that we are offering our young people today? How do we bridge this gap? Going back to Mutinta's story, I realized that for Mutinta, she found a higher sense of purpose and she found a reason to excel. You know, oftentimes we hear that you have to work hard, and we tell our young people this. You need to work hard so that you can get a good job, you can succeed in life. But what if that young person's parents already have enough money? They have the family business that they can take over. So what then is the reason for this young person to succeed, to strive, to work harder? What is their higher purpose then? So I believe that every young person, every adolescent between the age of 10 to 19 really has amazing capacity and potential. They are not what we often hear as teenagers. Oh my God, teenagers, you just can't talk to them. They're troublemakers. It's a state of madness. I think that's what Freud called them. But I believe that young people actually have amazing potential. They are like the Kariba Dam here in Siavonga in Zambia. We know the Kariba Dam provides electricity to the whole of Zambia most times, and we know that the Kariba Dam also provides water and livelihood to all of those around the dam. So imagine if the waters of the dam were just sitting still, were not channelized, were not used. What would happen to that water? It would become stagnant. And that is the same, I believe, with the young people of today. They have this amazing sense of justice, a need to contribute to their communities, to create change. But oftentimes, they don't have the platform to actually release those capacities or channelize those capacities. So then, my question to all of us here today is, what are we going to do about this? How are we going to help the young people who are around us? Can we provide them with spaces where they can actually realize their own potential, their own capacities and capabilities? And in the story of Mutinta that I shared earlier, we see that Mutinta found a higher sense of purpose because she was able to see herself succeed. When she helped a primary student with math lessons, she realized that, oh, I am able to contribute to another person's life. I am able to create change at the young age of 14. And I think every young person can do that. But we need to provide them with that space. And that space has to be something that is structured, which is regular, where they need to work hard, where they need to strive. And then when they see them succeed in these avenues, that same success is translated to their math lessons, their science lessons, to them as an individual on whole. So here are some photos of Mutinta and her friends. So one of the projects they did was to actually visit the primary school every week, the whole year. The other project was to visit an orphanage, again, every week, the whole year. And let me say this, it was not an act of charity. Because here, just as much as Mutinta was taking tutorials, she was benefiting maybe even more than the students in that school. She was developing her confidence, she was developing her self-esteem, and she was improving in her math, her science, her own studies. So we have a lot of photos here, and I'd just like to leave you with one question. As we leave this space today, let us ask ourselves, if we looked at the statistics earlier where it said that 166 million adolescents today have mental health issues, are we going to sit quietly about it, or are we actually going to find ways to provide spaces for them to be able to see themselves succeed? Oftentimes, students don't see themselves succeed in school, maybe because they're not good at math, maybe they don't have a reason, maybe they are good at sports instead. But when a young person like Mutinta sees herself succeed in helping another person, then again, she is able to translate that success to all areas of her life. Thank you very much.